Greetings and welcome back to my home office. This is going to be part 2 of my discussion of the tech involved in this trip. Today I'm going to talk about the software, or actually I could have just called it apps, because as I started outlining what I was going to talk about, it's almost all about apps for my phone, for my watch, for my iPad. There's about 36 of them in all. I'll get through them very quickly, I promise. I'm getting a little bit excited. It's only 31 days until Michael and I fly out to Portland to find our way to the coast and begin pedaling. This is exciting. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the software that's divided into several categories: entertainment, navigation, recording and editing for my channel, this thing, weather stuff. Weather's going to be really important on this trip, health, and finally security. So let's start with entertainment because that's fun. First is an app called Audible, which most of you have probably heard of. It's owned by Amazon now, I believe. And I'll be listening to books. I almost say books on tape. I'm that old. Digital books on Audible, particularly fantasy books. I'm looking forward to catching up on some that I've been waiting until this trip to enjoy, both in my tent and as I'm pedaling. Next, podcasts. I mentioned a couple times earlier that I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'll be queuing up my favorites to keep up with the world as I'm going on this adventure. If you're interested at all in terms of what specific books, specific podcasts, that sort of stuff, just put a comment down below and I'll give you more detail, but I don't want to bog everybody down with that kind of nuance. My favorite radio station is NPR, so I'll be using the NPR app as well as listening to it on that little FM radio that I talked about in the last post. Apple Music. I've got all kinds of playlists that I've been curating for this trip and for other purposes, and I look forward to those. And as long as Michael's with me, I'll be sharing those with him. As long as we're both wearing AirPods, he can listen to the same thing I'm listening to coming from my phone, which is kind of cool. YouTube TV. I'd been a subscriber to DirecTV forever, but I finally dumped it about a year ago for a lot of reasons, and I've been thrilled with YouTube TV. And it's completely portable. So if I'm at a warm shower or a hotel room or in my tent, I can bring up YouTube TV on my phone, on my iPad, and watch a little TV. YouTube to keep up with all the various YouTubers that I enjoy so much. And there's a new thing, to me it's new, called WatchTube, which allows you to watch YouTube posts on your watch, which is kind of cool. So I'll be using that a bit, I guess. For navigation, I talked about a little of the navigation back in the second post when I talked about planning the route. Ride with GPS, as I mentioned, will be the most important app. Komoot, because it's so bikepacking specific and has such great weather functions. Google Maps. It sounds mundane, but Google Maps has a lot going on for it that other things just don't, and it tends to stay very up to date. And when I can, even the street view of Google Maps. Here's one you probably didn't expect: Planet Fitness. I go to the gym a few times a week, and the gym I go to happens to be Planet Fitness. And since I'm a Black Card member here, I can go to Planet Fitnesses anywhere across the country. I doubt that I'll be looking to work out very much at Planet Fitness on the way across country, but I'm sure there'll be times when if I can go in and take a shower and a porcelain toilet, that'll be awesome. So the Planet Fitness app to find what Planet Fitnesses are along the way for catching a shower. And also for showering, I briefly mentioned there's an app called Warm Showers, which is I'm showing you the site now, of and for cyclists, where if you're a cyclist like me, you can make your home available to other cyclists to come in and spend the night. Maybe have a meal, certainly have a warm shower, and leave the next morning feeling refreshed. So there are warm showers all over the country, and I'll be taking advantage of those along the way to not necessarily stay in my tent every night and get a little break from the heat, the rain, the whatever. Warm showers. For recording and editing this channel, as I mentioned before, I'll be using DaVinci Resolve, which works great on an iPad, and I've been using it for all the posts that you've seen so far, so that'll be my primary tool. But I'll also be using an app called Audio Converter when I wanted to add a sound effect or something, and I can only get a WAV file, and I need an MP3 file, that kind of thing. an app called Voice Memos. That's how I record my voice for just doing an overdub over drone footage or something like that. Voice Memos. YouTube Studios, which is how I do the real YouTube editing of these clips that you're seeing, not the raw video footage. That's DaVinci Resolve. But when I'm adding the tags and the thumbnail and description, all that kind of stuff, that's YouTube Studio. Some of the apps that are going to be really important to me on this trip are weather-related apps. So NOAA, for instance, I checked it this morning to see what El Nino this year is likely to have in store, and looks like it's going to be rainier than usual out east and record-setting heat this summer. So, oh my God, sleeping in tents is going to be interesting. But NOAA, Carrot is my favorite weather app on the phone. It's not the best forecast. I use other ones sometime for forecasts, but it's real snarky and I like that. So I use Carrot for weather sometimes. I mentioned Komoot. It's very specific to biking. When you get up in the morning, you can check your Komoot route and it'll tell you what things are likely to be like for the rest of the day, which is very good to have on a trip like this. And there's other apps like WeatherBug that I'll be using just depending on the mood and the situation. A lot of the apps that I'm going to be using are watch specific, particularly around health. Apple Health is just amazing and even integrates with all my doctors. I use only doctors at Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, and everything's in one big database, and it interfaces with my Apple Watch so they can see my sleep and cardiac schedule, and I can download everything from them onto my watch. So I'll be using the Apple Health app, including, oh my gosh, dissolved oxygen in my blood, my heart rate, my AFib, all that sort of stuff is automatically tracked on my Apple Watch. And Apple Sleep. My doctor, I got my annual physical getting ready before this trip just a few days ago, and my doc said that I should be particularly aware of sleep because recovery is going to be so important day after day on a trip this long. And he stressed the fact that getting enough sleep is crucial to recovery. So I'm going to be tracking my sleep pretty carefully using the Watch app. Apple Watch has got a very cool thing called Emergency SOS, which if I get in a crash or something, it'll call 911, whether I'm conscious or not, and that's cool. But if I'm in the middle of nowhere without a cell tower within 50 miles or whatever, the Apple Watch Ultra also has an ability to connect directly to satellites. It only works one way, but I can send a satellite signal up and say, hey, I need help. Here's exactly where I am. And it will contact the nearest 911 by satellite and send help. So even if I'm nowhere near cellular, anything like that, the Apple Watch will use satellite connectivity. Kind of like, what's that technology that used to be so expensive that people would use? I can't think of it, but I'll put it there in the comments. I mean, in the headline up there, right there. Okay, that's Emergency SOS. Security. I use Apple AirTags. They're little things the size of a quarter that you can put on something, and no matter where it is in the world, my iPhone will show me where it is. So if my dog gets out and is running around the neighborhood, I can say, where is, say, his name. My phone will show me on a map where he is, and I can go track him down. That's handy. And it works for my watch, my phone, my wallet, my car keys, my briefcase, my suitcase, and there's one hidden on my bike. So if somebody steals my bike, I will immediately know where it is until they find it. And I've got it pretty well hidden. So that's Find on my watch. Oh, and I'm also using Find. You can also use it to find people. So I've got it such that my sons will be able to track me on this adventure all around the country. Anytime they're wondering, where the heck is Dad? They can just check and see, and oh, he left Boise this morning, and there he is going across Idaho. So that's the Find app on Apple Watch, Apple phone, Apple. Also the Apple Home app. I'm a little bit worried about security here in the house. What if there's a water leak? What if somebody breaks in? What if? And I'm, as I mentioned in the last video, pretty obsessive about tech. And so I've been doing Apple Home ever since smart home stuff first started. I've got Apple, Alexa, and Google devices all over my house, monitoring every window and door that's open, security cameras everywhere. And I've got water detectors everywhere there could possibly be a leak. So if there's ever a burst pipe, If my aquarium overflows, anything like that happens, I'll get alerted. I can immediately tell one of my neighbors who will be keeping an eye on my house, and they can come over and try to mitigate the damage. And I'll screen through or flip through my whole home thing just to give you an idea of how, there it is, obsessive I am about this thing. But it's on iPhone, it's on watch, it's on phone, watch, iPad. And every little tile on here is a different device somewhere in the house, which I'll now zoom in and show you up close. And then I've got, of course, my normal ADT, the old-fashioned security, just as a standby backup to everything else. So that's pretty much all the software apps that I'll be using on the trip that I know of so far. I'll probably come up with something else along the way. The next video, I think 2 videos, will be building the bike, and then after that will be camping equipment. And by then, I think it'll be about time to head west. 31 days, oh boy. Please like and subscribe if you want to keep getting these videos, if you find them interesting. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.